2, and stop. Okay, like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, hands up, reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right, to your left, center, inhale, exhale. Hands up, reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right, to your left, center, inhale, exhale. Hands up, reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right, 2, 3. To your left, 2, 3. Center, inhale, there's Maria. Okay, hands on your waist, circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can come right up here. Yeah, 7. That's good. 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, and stop. Okay, cross, knees, circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, and stop. Okay, hands on your waist, neck turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, and start. Center, tilt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, and stop. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3. Reverse. 1, 2, 3. Center. Pull in, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, spread your feet. Turn your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, and stretch it out a little. Okay, switch. 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 Switch, straighten the front knee. Switch. Okay, switch again. Switch. Okay, center. Oh, nice Kai. Okay, shake it out. Okay, ready? Hands here. Pull in, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, hands here. Shoulder roll. And reverse. And sign. Okay, press, release, exhale, inhale. and stop. Deep breathing, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay. Wrists, circular movements. Reverse. Oh, yeah. Good. We can, Mara, want to move up here? And then, yeah. Then, yeah, you can, right here. And there's a space here. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now the hands are here. Bigger circle. Yeah, that's fine. Is the socks slippery? No. Will the socks just be okay? Yeah. Okay. So here, ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, shake it out. Okay, so we just do a little shifting from side to side. Okay. So really get the hip to transition, but try to keep the spine as straight as you can, because that's just getting us over that foot. And then once we find that center, we can lift the knee and shift. Okay, center, shake it out. Find the center. Shift to the left, get your right leg in. And center. Okay, switch. Okay, side to sides. and sun. Switch. So, yeah. And sana. Okay, shake it out. Okay, deep breathing, hands here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, silk grilling. Hold the ball and go forward and back. So it's shoulder and hip, and then forward and back. So the front hand makes the big circle, the back hand presses down. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's forward and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, back. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we'll go to the other side. Okay, forward. So we're going to go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are reference points. Shoulder and hip, forward, turn, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the hands go from shoulder to hip to up, down, and then reset. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's clockwork. It's just moving from one position to the next. It's a multi-dimensional motion. So yeah. Okay, shake it out. So these, that's a pretty complicated exercise, but it's really basically a circle, a position like this, and we have our cross hands like this. And so these are the obliques. So while we see this as a slant, one here and one here, when they're crossed, they open to here. If we bring the hands up, essentially you're going to the shoulder. So the reference points are these, right, and the hips. But we'll have one of each, they're parallel. And that's really where we go when we're holding the ball and we slant. So when we hold the ball and create the slant, it's really dropping the elbows or straightening the arms. See? So when the arm is straight, we do this. When the arm is straight here, we do this. So between the elbow and the hand and the shoulder is what's maneuvered, right? Between the feet, the hip, is the knee. So that's what we're working. So we build a elbow and knee relationship. They're actually folding, turning, this is bending, and you have that constant action as straight, bend, bend, fold. So there's that coordination. We're building integration. So while we go through the forms, all of this same idea is happening. You fold, you bend, you alternate. So there's that relationship, and we can get that to come naturally without actually thinking about it. It becomes a natural course of action with forward and back. But but it's this. So when we're here, we come to here, and we return, we create this position. When we go forward, we create this position. Here's your slant, here's your vertical. So this is actually slightly angled like this. This is here, but it could be like this, it could be like this. So you have to find this position relative to the body, which is this. So when we go in a formation like this, we don't see that that's actually all of this is this. When we go in a position like this, we don't see that it's this. When we're like this, we don't see that the line that we're drawing is this, because you have to project those lines. So that's what we're doing with our body, is really creating these lines. We project them outward, then you see straightness. When you bring them down here, you see the vertical line that goes all the way down. When we shift like this, there's the vertical line that goes through your body to the supporting leg. So all these alignments, when we talk about proprioception and our sensory system, because we start to detect and we start to build a certain feeling, so that's our sensory system. So it's developing knowing, because in the beginning we don't know. We don't really know where the body is going. We can't experience it because we're just mimicking. So we build these alignments in, and we build the geometry of position in. Now you have something that you're working with to develop accuracy of position. And nothing would be more accurate than using your own body as a reference. So we have the vertical line, the square position, the slants. All of these things are the joint angle position. So muscle memory, when we take it to this level, is really just building muscle memory throughout the whole body. And you tap off and draw off of those geometric shapes to create the postures. So while we're doing that, we're manipulating our skeleton using the muscular contractions that create the circulation that we want. So that's basically what happens when we do these. Now we're going to cross here. Now here's that cross hand position. We're going to open and close. So we're like this. Cross, open, and close. Open, and close. So we have one foot in front of us, and most of the weight is on the back leg. That's your supporting leg. That's your substantial leg. And you open and close. Open and close. Okay, so we should have one foot in front. So if we have this leg in front, that becomes light. Okay, now we switch. And then we go to center, shoulder width, circular movements, preparation. Sink the elbows and the knees. Okay, lower hoop. shoulder height. Elbows down. So this is your center line, this is your center line. This is in between, both sides are evenly placed so that you have your hold the ball position. It's also, if we did this and we straighten the wrist, that essentially would be going to strum the lute. So you see how a wrist action creates that line. How it's bent creates this configuration is part of holding the ball. So it's a pass-through. So this is a setup. If I turn my palm like this, you can see that that actually turns to palm strikes face or lower hoop, you see. So just leveling it out and then bringing the elbow out generates that lower hoop. So this is what I mean by manipulate the skeletal structure, because once you change the hand position, it changes the action and it changes the intent, because the intent of movement really is what the mind wants the body to do. So when we're here and we're here, we're learning this as a basic structure. Okay. Then we lower the hands, we lift the body, now we learn this. So the body recognizes this is a very natural position, aligning the shoulder through the legs. That's your vertical, parallel position. And then we relax the wrists, and then you have this alignment. But if we put a little bit of tension in the fingertips, now you feel elongating, and that there's a direction of force going downward in a vertical line. Okay, then we do deep breathing, inhale, exhale. Okay, diagonal flying. So here's the two slants. Turn the palms like this. And then they separate, split on the same plane. We're in that slanted plane. That's the diagonal line. And you can see that all you're doing is separating hands on the same plane. But what creates a little bit of arcing in the movement is the torso. So while the torso is turning a little bit to get us into this position, then we relax the shoulder. So the shoulder is actually going to turn minutely here, and that's sinking the elbow. Okay, so if you look at the forearm, you see that it's moving, settling. You see this? that happens at the end of the movement. So that's finalizing your position to get that position for structure integrity. Otherwise, they're both like this, but it's not functional, it's not effective. So you have to relax this. Now the hand's in this position. And then we shift back, we're back to here. See, so that's where that lower hand is actually. On the other side, it's the same. We're going over like this, then relax a bit as you settle. So that little jog in the cloud hands is that lower hand. You see how that settles? If I went like this, you could see that that hand moved, you see. So, while we're going through the motions, you can see that the body is actually creating these little pockets of positions. So that's what this is. So while this is diagonal flying, this becomes an interim position that you would turn. Now holding that becomes cloud hands. So the shift that you're learning here, and here, and here, will show up as a transition in the cloud hands. So that's why we're working the legs, as simple as this appears to be. They're sort of the building blocks to a transition. So here, we're in the lean position, maybe 70 or 80% of the weight here. Now we go like this. Now more weight goes here. If I want to square the body, then the hands stay. So what ends up happening, if I'm here and I shift, and then we start to move the hands, it disrupts the position. So we sustain the position, and then let this adjust to a natural elbow down position. And then if I were to turn, I could go to cloud hands, or I could turn and then step up to raise the hand, right? So see how transition becomes a weight shift and a control of your center. So when we talk about controlling the center of mass, it's really through these kind of experiences that allows you to actually know where your body is. So that's what proprioception is. So all these little things that we're doing, in the beginning, it's not going to be obvious, and it's not even obvious now when we're doing it, because you have to go through it. And then as you build this knowledge, your body, that's what we call the body intelligence. That intelligence, really information that's, figured out here, and it tells the body to do this. And that's what a coordinated being becomes, or someone that's skillful. So everything that we learn is really that process. And everyone's a little different, so it depends on what your object is. If you're an artist, you're a musician, so you work through it, and then you get better at it. So it's just a natural course. If you're a carpenter, or you go through the same thing. You go through the process until you figure it out, and then you refine it. So that's what we're doing, is refining the movement. Okay. So now let's go here, right? So the cloud hand movements. So this is so without any turning, it would look like this. Right? This up and down. When we do this, it becomes a circle. And where was this? This is here. So sometimes when we do this drill, I see sometimes that the elbow loses its position. So then that circle is over here. So you want to define the circle here, right? So this circle in this vertical plane, that's essentially maybe a little bit further off from the body, is this plane in the front. And it's tracking right when you turn. Because when you turn, that line is really sort of if you're standing in a cylinder, that line would be touching the wall of the cylinder, and you would be tracking evenly. Now, if you distort the movement, then while you're in that cylinder, it's not going to be able to move correctly. So this is the line that we have in the cloud hands. And because we turn, it brings in, another dimension, but the hand movements essentially are the same. It doesn't really vary, because all you're doing is this. All we're doing is this. So we add the legs, we add the torso. So this is what we're trying to learn as a consistent motion. So the lower hand, you want the elbow to extend so that when it goes across, it's about where the hip is. If your elbow's slightly bent, then it's going to be tracking where your waist is or your navel. Right? So this would be more of a brush knee until it gets to here. This is more of a full circle, because you can see the elbow will be in the center of that circle. If you do this, you actually created a flat. It doesn't complete the circle. Because when we turn to here and to here, it creates that fullness. So while we're standing in this circle with a cylinder around us, when we start to turn and then blend it, now this really is like a hot dog. It's kind of like an oval, elongated circle. So now you have the circle here, you have the circle here, and then you have this connecting line that brings it across to here. So you can imagine, so that's what visualization is. When you're doing movements, and we say visualization of a motion, then you can start to define those lines. Okay, good. Now we're here, carry tiger to the mountain. Okay, center, infinity sign. And then we form the fists. palms together, strum the lute. Okay, center, thumbs up, alternate the shoulders. And switch. And center. Okay, so when we're here, there's your center position. We turn the hand here. If we were to turn it, we would have that same, that's your center gate. So we have upper gate from the nose, or the, say from the chin up is upper gate, shoulder level. And then we have this, which is the center gate. That's an area in the torso. Then lower gate would be the waist down to about the hip. So those are just, spaces to define. So when we alternate the hands, that's what we're doing. We're working within the realm of that space. And that's what the horizontal elbow is, and the vertical elbow. And then when you cross through, that transition becomes the slant, the oblique. So, as you progress, you want to connect that as a linkage to go from vertical to horizontal, so it becomes a transition rather than A and B, because then you don't really get there through the rotation action. So that's, the whole objective is to learn how to move your shoulders like this. So that's a vertical horizontal position. So it happens, whether it's grass or sparrow's tail, brush knee, many of those have that vertical and horizontal. Jade Lady works shuttle, the horizontal upper, the vertical lower. And then if you go all the way down, like Carry Taekwondo Mountain, you have your lower hoop, your upper hoop, you're panning out to cross hands, and then you're back. So that's really transitions. It's maneuvering from one position to the next. So if you were using this as a technique, so it's a high block, you're essentially passing through your center, and it turns to that. Now if you're going to use it as a technique to come back in, you sink the elbow, you relax the shoulder, you're back to this, which is protecting your center gate. Now if you lower the hand like that, you're redirecting to what would be like the brush knee motion. So you see, through the Carry Tiger to the Mountain drill, you really define that space, and it's really like a S. And that S is like in the yin-yang configuration, you have that S curve. So movements that pass through center are really going out, coming in, and going out. So that is essentially that spiral in the, in the yin and yang shape. But if you want to take it to another dimension, if you put that yin-yang configuration in a globe, now it's no longer flat, it has dimension. So if I do this, now you have volume, right? Because the hand did the same shape, but because I added a dimension of movement, a plane of movement that is to the right, so this is to my right, this is down, this is to my left, this, and it goes back. So that S curve is continually spiraling through space, but at the same time my body is turning. So then the legs are creating an action like that too. So for every action above, something happens below. They have to be compatible. They have to kind of work together. That's what integration of body becomes. See, so you can see that when you track this movement, just like we're doing here, is really controlled and dictated by the elbow, right? Because the elbow, if we just do the hands, you can see that you're not going to get a configuration because you don't have the total unit working. The unit is really your hand, your elbow, and your shoulder. Just like your hip, your knee, and your foot is really a unit. So if we just did this or just did that, you don't create anything. If I just did this, you don't create anything. So what ties it together is the elbow. So if I go like this and I go like this and I go like this, what creates that action is really these three joints. See, so that's what the patterns are in controlling of those different joints. So we really have 12 major primary movers. The feet, the ankle, the knees, the hip, the two shoulders, the two elbows, and the wrists. So that's what we're controlling, and we're tying it all together so that we move in a coordinated fashion. That's what we're building. So that's as simple as that, right? As simple as that, as simple as that. But when we tie it together, this is carry tiger to the mountain, and we're building off of those little curves. It's one here, there's one there, there's one there. So there's the same right-left arc. So you have up to down, right to left, and then it's continuous. Okay. So, hopefully that's helpful when you start to do the postures, because that's what's going to happen when we, work with the form, right? So we're going to go from here to here now. Now this is turning. And then we have to align that rear elbow, this one, to the fingertip. So we turn toward here and draw back. So we have to draw that line, right? And then we go back to center, we turn, then we draw this line. Okay. But you really can't draw this line without turning the body. Because then when you look in the mirror, you can see that there's oneness to that. So if you had a archer bow here and you drew the string back like this, you would see that that's your alignment. So that's what drawing the bow is. Now you can't draw the bow like this. You have to draw it like this. So you're simulating a motion, which is really action, aligning your body, aligning your structure. That goes all the way through your back. It actually goes through your torso and right down your spine. Now we turn and we look in this direction, your neck actually moved. So while we're doing this as a neck exercise, this would be the passive neck movement. So the head stays, the neck turns, so it's disconnecting in the neck area. So when we turn, it's essentially taking head to here. But what I did was I took my body to here. So that relaxes your neck. See? So that's what passive and active movement is. I'm here, and I turn. There might be a little bit, your neck's not going to go completely perfectly aligned, but there is that action. So, to relieve some tension in the shoulders, maybe the shoulder girdle, when you turn, you don't have to turn the head, you turn your body. So that creates that action. So all these little things when we don't really pay attention to, but now when we talk about it, we can begin to understand that the body moves and is recreating positions that normally you would have to do it as an isolated move. So this is pretty isolated. This is actually integration of the body, right? So if you do it like that, you will start to move. Okay. So then fan through the back. Okay, raise the hand. So go right through your center, drop the elbow, sink the elbow, go right through the center on the opposite side, going up, and then you will track your vertical center line. And you build a connection to the upper palm and the lower palm. Okay, good. Deep breathing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, any of these drills, when you first learn them, they're pretty isolated, right? And then as your body becomes more aware, then you create a twisting. But that twisting becomes part of what we just talked about as an S-curve, is a spiraling. It's not as obvious, but your hand is turning because our hands do turn. The forearm does turn. The shoulder does turn. The torso does move, but it doesn't know to move until you first define that line. The body's fairly rigid. Then you transition through that, and then transition through that. Then the body starts to be aware that it twists. So when you're doing palm strikes face, and we're here, that's actually turning, because the hand does move like that. So when we do this, that's called drilling. Palm strikes face, or high pat the horse, you go through your center and you turn your palm. You go through your center and you turn your palm. So it's still an action that the body, has, but it doesn't recognize it in the beginning. So when you see it, and I do the exercises with you in class, so you can see and you pick up on these things over time. Because what you don't see in the beginning is because you're focused on that, right? So sometimes people would be doing this, and you're just going straight up because we know this and we know that. But then how do you get this elbow to be here and here, here and here? here, and here. So while you're passing through center, you really can't, so you really can't go to your center without turning or initiating the turn. And then this becomes resetting your position, because this is the square position, this becomes the 45. This is the 45 on the other side, and that's really the limit that your torso will turn. It's only going to face 45 degrees or 40. So because this lumbar area always tracks to keep you vertical and somewhat stiff, you have to build the twisting in it as an action. But you know, what do you do without doing Tai Chi with that twist? You didn't know to twist it probably, because it doesn't want to, or it never was part of anything that you would do. So that's why the back becomes so dysfunctional over time, because we don't use it. That's still a motor skill. So everything that we do in regard to movement is a motor skill, and if you don't use it, it becomes deficient and it becomes dysfunctional. And then dysfunctional only means that it doesn't work when you want it to do that. So that's why learning movement is really pretty complex stuff, but it's really doing it. That's all it is. You know, it's specificity of training. You do something and then your body learns it. You do something, you know. So everything that we do that's tied to movement is just going through the process. It depends to what level of perfection you want, but people can't perfect something they don't know that there's, you know, different degrees of correctness. So you have to go through the process. So when you see someone doing the form, you say, well, everyone looks so different because we're all taking it in differently. So something like this that we're talking about is just going through your center, but can we get that to happen? Can you sink the elbow, come through your center, come through here as a pattern and certain preciseness? So when the hands come down, you're like this. Right? So we have these sinking positions. We have carry tiger to the mountain, and then we sink to this position. So that's a dimension of motion. We turn to the corner, and we have that. Then we also have, when we lift, is folding. We can come in like this, or we can come down like this. So when does it come down? Say we're in this position, stork flaps wings. If I turn here and I drop my elbows, that's essentially coming down through your center, right? So you have one on each side. So, you know, on a functional side, why would we move like that? Because if it's used as a martial art or a self-defense type thing, what you're doing is closing to protect. So my hand is here, you close. When my hands are here, we close, right? But when you close, you have to open. And that's what that is. When we go out, we have to come back, we have to fold. When we move to the right, we move to the left. But we see this. We move to the right, or to the right, and then if I move to the left, you see this, right? But what about this? That moves to the left. So because I'm moving right and then it goes like this, a circle is only right and left. Because on this side it goes like this, on the bottom side it goes this. But then you have up and down. Because when I get to here, it goes down. Then it goes this way. When I get to here, it goes up. So essentially a square. So you take the corners out and it becomes round. So, yeah. So the original yin-yang configuration isn't the S-curve. It was actually a square. And those squares, they have a crisscross, and then they alternate the colors, and it becomes this thing that looks like a, you know, it looks like a bunch of squares, and it goes away and comes back, you know. So you can imagine what that was. That was the yin-yang shape for, because it's alternating, but it's a square with lines going through it to create the triangles. So triangles, circles, and squares. So, okay, so when we practice the opening of the movement, this is a linear form. We step up. Here's the left side. We go forward. We toe out. We step through. Flip the elbows. Change to the right side. Then we press forward. Sit back for grasp the sparrow's tail right side. And then we turn 45 degrees to the corner. Hold this elbow position. Find this parallel position in the corner because we're going across, and then draw to the opposite corner, and then let the body reset to here. So we're like this. So Dorothy, both arms are like this. So don't forget the right, but bring it out to this corner. So we have two positions here. We have a 45 here, and we have a 45 there. Okay, now we bring this hand in, lower, across, and level. Now here's your slant. So relax, tilt the elbows. Straighten this one, and then we have diagonal flying. Shift, step up. Now this hand goes here. Then this hand goes there. So that's replacing that position. We go like this, so really lift the elbow, press forward, transition like that, then raise the hand. Bend from the waist, stork flaps wings, and we're here. Okay. Now, once we get to here, when we do the form, really we're on this side, and that whole strip is really linear. We go like this, and we go to the brush knee movements. Flip the elbows. Then we go to the left. Strum the lute. Step up and close the door. Center line, form the fist, and punch. Divert. Block, and punch. Then we cross, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Then we go to neutral, turn, lower the hands, slice out, fist under elbow. So there's a sinking of the elbows. Go back to center neutral, left side round out. Then we start to go backwards. Pass through center. And here's your first repulse the monkey. And here's your second one. And your third one. Then we're here, hold the ball. Now we toe out and step up. We turn the body slightly to the right and then diagonal flying. Now we sit back toward the mirror, the hands end up here. Move the foot in position. We're going vertical up and vertical down. Step out, toe out like this. Open the stance. Fan through the back. Okay, so from there, let's hold this position, shift the weight, move to the right side, and you're in this position. We're going to drop the elbow, bring this hand next to the elbow, invert the hand, fold the elbow, turn the shoulders, separate the hands, and then go back to center. That's your parry and punch. Right? Form the fist. Step up, we already did this, and we punch. Divert, block, and punch. and then leopard and tiger, springs to mountain, and then we're here. Okay, now we sit back. We would be in this position, so let's do carry tiger to the mountain. So we see the carry tiger as a lifting, then we turn toward the mirror. These would be your left-handed movements. You cross like this, your left hand is to the outside. You lift the left hand, you bend, stork flaps wings, and then we would pivot, but we're going to step up and do the left side grasp the sparrow's tail. Then we do the left side single whip. We hold the ball, reverse the ball, diagonal flying. Okay, so here we sit back, stroke down, part the horse's mane. Step up, neutral position, stroke down, part the horse's mane. We sit back. Now we have to balance on that leg and bring this one in front of it, walking to the corner, Jade Lady work shuttle. Cross over, shift, balance, step, and then forward. And we go 1, 2, 3. You drop the elbow, hook your wrist. We're back to single whip. Then we drop the hands. This one goes down, this one goes up. We're set up like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go back to the corner. Hook your wrists. Open the stance. Hold the ball. Reverse the ball. Adjust the left foot. And we close the form. So that's the whole form with looking at yourself in the mirror. So that I call it the linear form. It's also for you referencing your own movements so you can see what you look like when you're doing them. And it's really taken each posture individually, as a unit. You have your right and left movements, you have so all of those are all done in, using the mirror. Okay, so let's go through the sequence, the mapped out sequence, and we'll go through from the beginning. Ready? So it's preparation. We turn the corner, flip the hands, grasp the sparrow's tail right side. Single whip. Hold the ball. Step up. Press down, step up and raise the hand. Bend. Stork flaps wings, and then we're going to turn this way for brush, knee, and push. Okay, so we're facing this way now. We got the mirrors here. So actually that's helpful to use the mirrors as a brush, knee, and push. And you follow Nan. So with Nan's turning, then we go forward. Turn to your left, you move to the front. Vertical hands, you go forward, twist out, and we're back to center. Okay, strum the lute, close the door, form the fist, and punch. Divert, block, and punch. Leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Okay, back to neutral, fist under elbow. Repulse the monkey. So repulse the monkey, the hand movements are just like brush knee. Okay, hold the ball, twist, diagonal flying, sit back, insert the needle, fan to the back, turn. Okay, so we have Arthur over there, we stroke down, invert the hand, parry and punch, step forward, form the fist and punch. Divert, block and punch. Cross the arms, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Bring the hands down, lift up, carry tiger to the mountain. Cross hands, raise the left hand, bend from the waist, stork flaps wings, turn. Left side grasp the sparrow's tail. Left side single whip. Hold the ball. Reverse the ball. Diagonal flying. Sit back, stroke down. Part the horse's mane. Step up. Neutral position. Part the horse's mane. Then we're going to cross corner. So we look toward the corner, move our feet, move our hands, turn, cross over, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Drop the elbow, spin, hook your foot around, adjust your feet. So now you're back to the front, and we're going to do a set of cloud hands. So once we're here, I'm going to drop the hand, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Hook your wrists, open, back to here. Okay, now 1, 2, 3, hold the ball, reverse the ball, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's your right side diagonal flying. That goes out to the sides. So now we shifted here. Move this foot, just stepping backwards and a little bit to the side. Let's close the form. Deep breathing. So the cloud hand movements, just the hands again. When we turn like this to this corner and we turn this palm out, this hand comes up. Right? So this position, we recognize this position, grasp the sparrow's tail, right? We're here. So that's an interim position. So when the hands go across to this right corner, when it turns out, this hand should come to here. Then that's a point to separate. And then you move to this corner, and then this hand comes to here. Then you separate from there, and then you create the next position. So that'll give you a good starting point as a phase. Because grasp the sparrow's tail, when we end up here, that's a starting position. So we use that same reference. Then you can make the circles, much more evenly by having a starting point that's here. So because you have this starting point, once you start to integrate your feet or your legs with the hands. So anytime I mention a hand, I'm really referring to the arm. When I say move your feet, you're really moving your leg. So when we're here, because we need a starting point to tie this position to here, that's when I would go from here to here. And then when I pivot, when I get to this point, it gives me a chance to spread. You see? So while my feet are spreading, my hands can spread. And so it's just giving you a reference and a place to tie things together. See? So up and down, right and left, they all have to kind of blend together in a phase. These phases is what you have to start to pick up on. So you have a front corner or front direction, and then you have the two corners. Certain things happen in these spaces. So it's really, if you look at it, it's really everything is always in front of you because you're always referencing here. So when we turn to here, really we're referencing here. When I turn here, we're referencing there. And then you blend it together, it becomes a continuous action that seems like it's seamless, but it's actually just frames. So those frames are phases and movement. So because you have so many dimensions in the movement, you have up and down, you have right and left, and the hands are doing the same thing. It's pretty complicated. But the body learns it over time. You just, so we all can do cloud hands, basically. And then we just have to build in the idea of substantial, insubstantial, passive, and active. So passive movement, we understand what that is, right? Do we? Passive action is an action that's created by a function of. So if my hand is like this, then it becomes passive while I'm moving my torso. While I'm turning my torso, there's action here, but then it becomes passive when I relax this foot because it's a function of going down. When I pivot, that's passive because my body is turning, but the foot is. So I don't actually try to do this. It becomes part of this unit and it just turns. Now that becomes part. So if you look, when I'm here, this becomes that vertical line. Then I'm here. When it separates, then it becomes that vertical line, and we move around. And then when I shift, there's that vertical line, and then it separates, and then we create that. Now this is actually oblique until it gets to vertical. So all these phases of really passes through the vertical to here. That's it. Because when I get to here, it actually can't do anything until I do this. Right? When I get to here and I do this, then it has vertical. Right? So I have to turn to do this. Otherwise, it does this. So you turn, and now you create a direction of force like this. Now, why don't we do it like this? Because the direction of the action requires this to have a downward force as a direction. This is just like when we do this, right? We're not doing this, we're actually doing this. So these things make sense after a while when you start to develop your movement, because movement is really for function. And functionality, regardless of what you're doing with the movement, has to be produced by, if you're using a hammer, you can't hold it like this. You have to do it like this. If you're squeezing something, you have to do it like this. So you're able to manipulate your hands to do different shapes. Yeah, we're going to go through. So last class we did a bunch of stuff with this, right? This is high pat the horse. This was the first two hand movements, okay? And then we flip. So this is your cross hand position again. But we see this cross hand position. We don't actually see this cross hand position. We don't see it till we do this movement. Okay, high pat the horse is a cross hand from here. but it gets horizontal because we fold the elbows. And then we fold the elbows. And then we're like this. Then we're like this. Or even here, we're like this. See, that's cross hand. So cross hand position is this. And we pass through center to do that, right? So that's ride the tiger. So this is cross hands, bring this hand down, come across like this, and then look to the corner. That's ride the tiger. It happens near the end of the form. And then this hand comes down, and it becomes palm strikes face. Okay. So cross hand position, we're like this. If we stepped up without the turn, it would look like that. Okay. So we actually turn there too. You know, in the form, we're like this. 1, 2, then we unwind here, pivot here, hook here, and then step up here. So because for every action below, there's something that happens above. So the front view of that is we're here, then we shift, hook, and this hand comes up, and we're in this position. So when you put this foot down, make sure you have clearance here, because if you do this, you're actually not wide enough because it's not, because you're not in the stance here. So, okay. So you have to actually sink, and then you can see the clearance. Otherwise, you're like that. So how do you adjust that? When you're in that forward position, we turn. We may have to bring this foot light and then touch down and replant that foot. See, sometimes you have to adjust for comfort. You have to be in a balanced position. So in the cross hand position, when we step up, here's that oblique movement. So your hand is like this. And then if you follow that line, then it's going to come to here. But you don't want to go all the way out there. So that's why it gets to here. And then you start to turn your body, and then it's behind you. So if I did this, I have to do this. That's a physical movement. If I do this, then it ends up there as a function of it. There's an active passive action there that brings me from here to here. So I recreated the back position that's behind me by bringing my body here, so I really never really reach. You don't overreach. Like if you're doing cloud hands, if you didn't turn, you'd be doing it like this, because you want all that volume. So you create the volume by turning. So you really never leave the parameters of this, the 45 degrees. So if I'm in this position, or if I'm in this position, right, on palm strike face, cross hand, I step back, I start to initiate the movement here. So here's your lower hoop, here's the turn, here's the hook, and I'm turning here, and then when it resets, you see the line that's like this. This is in front of the shoulder, just like this. This is your hook hand position. That's back here. See? So this is probably the most extreme position in the back side. So that allows that flexibility. So when we do this, then when the hand goes there, actually the arms are working from here, but even the forward movement is actually expanding, hooking, and then pulling back in a sense. So once your body's here, it's really fairly relaxed. So the first time you do it, you might just reach, but actually it comes through here, and you fold. So in the elbow fold, so you see how the elbow folds? Elbow and knee, wrist and shoulder, oblique, and then we're here. Yeah, it's curved, yeah. Yeah, because you're coming around, it's straight, and then you fold, right? And then you create the roundness from the straightness. So you seek the straight from the round, or the round from the straight. So all it is that position again for here. So that's what we should have muscle memoried as a position. So with all these postures, you're really breaking it down to those basic geometric shapes again. And then throughout the form, you have to look for these positions, and then your body will start to recognize. And there's accuracy of movement. That's your target position. Then your transitions will vary based on how integrated the legs are compared to the upper body. Yeah. So I think we're spent a lot of time. So we got about 7 minutes or so. So we can take it from maybe the back of the form, going after the cloud hands, third cloud hands, taking it to the back. So let's do the cloud hands first, right? This third set of cloud hands, right? So we're like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So we see, if we get used to finding these positions, then we start to build that integration. Right? Now we're going to do the palm strike face, which is this. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and then we turn. And we have the single lotus kick. If you can't do the kick, we can just slap the knee. Remember how we used to practice it like this? And then you hit this foot. Yeah. Then we do a brush knee, left side push, and then we do the punch down, 45-degree punch. Then we step up to right side, grasp the sparrow's tail. Then we back to single whip. And here we have downward posture. So when we turn, we're like this. Snake sticks out tongue. Invert the hands. Turn the hands over. Draw down. Step up. Here's your cross hand position. Right. Here's your turning to ride the tiger. Turn beyond 45, or beyond center to 45, and then you reset to here. Now actually you're facing that corner with the torso, but the hands are front to back. So you're facing this corner. So you're gazing over there, and your body's front to back here. Right? And then we go forward. Now we sit back and we turn. And you do the double lotus kick. Okay, right? So double lotus kick is opposite. So this hand goes here, right? And you're gonna bring this leg over here, and you just swing it around, and then this goes from this side to here, and we step up again. Palm strikes face. Then we turn. So this is just like if you were doing a right side palm strike face, but it turns into a parry and punch. And here's your high pat the horse again. 1, 2, 3. And then pass through left side, neutral. So when we, after the parry and punch, right, we step up, flip the hands, fold the elbows, high pat the horse. Now we're going to sit back. Here's your left side neutral. Here's your right side neutral. And then you do grasp the sparrow's tail. So that gives you the transitions with the footwork. Otherwise you have a void in the hands. And then we close the form. So you hold the ball. Yeah, flip it over. closing the form. Yeah. So we're here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Good. All right, deep breathing. So, we didn't do the long form, but we did pieces of it for people that, you all know, most of you know the